Hey, how are you? It's Ed Emerson. We're here on Dem Talk America, brought to you by our friends at Tiger Eye Design, which is all your printing needs. Today I'm with a wonderful, wonderful human being, a great friend, a Giants fan. Everything about Sam Rodriguez is in the A column for me. Sammy, you're a longtime Democratic consultant. You've been consulted by everybody. People, you and I worked together in the Clinton White House and had a great time together. We're going to pen you down today. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ed. You're being very, very kind. I'm always going to remember you and the motorcycle forever.
Yeah, there is a story there, and I should go on and tell a bunch of stories and that sort of thing. But what we're focused on today is I need your feedback and your input for the Joe Biden campaign. Let's pretend for 1 second I've got a direct access to Joe and Kamala, and I'm going to give them some advice. And Sam, I want you to cover the range if you can, because I think that you do. You're one of those unique people that has their foot in so many different worlds. Let's start with Sam Rodriguez. Do you think Biden can win this campaign, and what do you think he's got to do between now and November to win it?
I'm actually very confident. I've been confident about Joe Biden winning this election in this November in 2024, just as I was 4 years ago, and in part because the Joe Biden we have seen today is the same Joe Biden we have seen yesterday and the one we've been seeing for decades. He hasn't changed. He has been a pupil of history, and he has been an advocate for democracy and justice or his entire life. And he's one of the few presidents in our lifetime that has suffered personal suffering from his own tragedy with his family and his wife and his kids. So that humanizes. I mean, this campaign, I believe, is going to be a campaign of humanity, if you will, compared to the other side.
And he's got a lot of that. I agree with you on that. He does have an ability to touch home base every time he meets somebody and find out what is interesting about you. Obviously, we've got a combination gorilla unicorn in the room with us whose name rhymes with rump. I try not to say his name, Sam, but I always end up coming back to the guy. He just was convicted on 34 different counts of fraud for doctoring records and paying off a prostitute after he had had sex with her while he was married and his wife was pregnant with his kid. That didn't seem to damage him. What the hell's going on? Why can't we get a knife in this guy?
Well, let me share a little bit, right? Let me sort of like pull back the lens, right? Let's look at some constituencies, right? And let's look for example the Latino community, but let's also look at the battleground states. So in regards to the Latino community, if we bring back the lens back when Donald Trump was president, there's one image that the entire Latino community, international community, won't forget. And that is when he went to Puerto Rico after the travesty of Hurricane Maria, where over 1,500 people died, lost their homes, okay? And he went to a place and he threw bounty towels.
Right. I see people forget that. I forgot that.
Now in the mainstream media, it got picked up for about a week. In the Latino Spanish language media, which is now six channels, right, in the United States and across Latin America, okay, that went on for almost a year. That image, that 8-second clip, okay, and that said it all. I don't care about you. You're not in my eyesight. I'm not going to give you any money. Okay, and to basically cut the injury, right? To stab the knife even more in terms of the Latino community, not just the people in Puerto Rico, but overall, universally. Okay, he single-handedly delayed the $2 billion relief package for the island of Puerto Rico. There were 3.3 million people before the Hurricane Maria. Okay, afterwards there were a million less, and they mostly went to Florida, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Houston, Texas.
Wow.
And some to Arizona. Now that's important for the following reasons. Arizona, to give you a perfect example, Arizona as a battleground state was essentially California in 1996 after
Right.
Prop 187. Right? It is going through a renaissance, and today, up and down the state, from governor down to superintendent of schools, are Democratic office holders.
Right. That's a
And
great thing. That's a fabulous thing. And I tell you what, I hope if you could talk to the importance of having a governor in a battleground state. What's the difference there?
100%,
Right.
100%. I worry about Nevada. All right, Nevada
Oh
has
yeah.
a 41% Latino population. Right, they mostly visit Clark County, Las Vegas. Okay, they belong to a union. Right, but for the first time in a long time, I mean, Nevada has a Republican governor and a big former law enforcement sheriff. That's a problem because in Wisconsin we have a Democratic governor. In Michigan we have a Democratic governor. In Pennsylvania we have a Democratic governor. Okay, 3 critical states. Arizona, Democratic governor. I believe those are the states we're going to win, and we're going to win handsomely. Okay, Nevada's in play. Nevada is in play, unfortunately, and part of that problem is that U.S. Senator Jackie Rosen, who's up for re-election, she's going to have to really double down and really communicate the concerns of the Latino community, and she's doing a good job, and I think she will win her re-election. But the Republicans have invested lots of money in Nevada. Now, that said, as you know, Ed, okay, about 90 days out of the election, there's about 10,000 Californians that go to Nevada to knock on doors to pull out the vote.
Right.
So I'm always optimistic, right? Now, just to give us a thumbshell of a picture. About a year ago, I was on a show with Ari Melber, MSNBC, and it's called The Beat, right? And the irony of all that is that Ari Melber used to work for me when I worked for John Kerry and ran Washington State. So here he's
Right.
now the host of this great show called The Beat.
Oh, President Kerry, I remember him.
Exactly, right? We should have stayed in Ohio. Anyway, that's another story. But in the end of the show, he says, "Hey, what do you want to say, right? What do you want to say?" And I said, "Well, if I get an opportunity to say, I like to say it in English and in Spanish. I like to say Bad Bunny for governor of Puerto Rico." And he just started cracking laughing. And he said, "Absolutely, absolutely." So we ended the show with, Bad Bunny for gobernador de Puerto Rico, right? Do you know how many followers Bad Bunny has today? He has
No
almost
clue.
5 million followers. He just
Right.
finished doing a show where sold out across the country, right? He was on Saturday Night Live, right? His number one the reason why I'm a big promoter of Bad Bunny is because he's maintained his feet on the ground. He's against the political corruption. He's pro-choice. He's big on climate change, and he's talking to a different universe of voters under the age of 25, including
Right.
my daughter, who's 19. I mean, she's anywhere Bad Bunny performs, she's like there, whether it be Boston, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Los Angeles, and it's really fascinating because what I'm trying to get is that there are different ways to communicate now, very different from what it used to be in the past. So in other words, the music industry, the entertainment industry, and Latino side, both bilingual
Right.
and monolingual, has to double down, has to triple down, and communicate to under 25 that their vote is critical and vital. and that will make a
Right.
difference in Nevada. That would make a huge difference in Arizona. I think we're going to win Arizona, and we're going to win Arizona by 4 or 5 points. That will make a
Wow.
difference in Pennsylvania. We got Latinos living in the city of Philadelphia, in Bethlehem, in Pittsburgh, in the suburbs, right? The only state that I'm not confident about, at least for now, right, is Florida. But
Yeah.
Florida is slowly changing. Okay, there are 600,000 Latinos in the Orlando corridor. Half of them, are Puerto Ricans who came after the hurricane, and now they have both the Puerto Rican and Dominican representative in Congress. South
Wow. Wow.
Florida, Cuban
I didn't know that.
Americans, yeah, South Florida, Cuban Americans still are holding tight, right?
Right.
But once again, we have to reinvent the way we talk to under 25 voters, okay, who are multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic,
Right.
right? So we get hit hard in South Florida, right? The Democratic Party, right? And we get called communist and socialist and all that kind of
Right.
crap, right? We need to hit, okay? But it doesn't have to be us. Okay, we need to empower
Right.
the local folks who are cultural, artistic, and entertainers to give it right back.
I got to tell you, I just you really touched on something there because having traveled on a few of these presidential campaigns and talked about this a lot, I'm of the opinion, and I'm going to lose friends on this one. I don't think we should go to Florida. I don't think we should go to Ohio. I think we should take all the money that we were going to spend in Florida or Ohio and rack up North Carolina, rack up Georgia, rack up Pennsylvania, and then the rest of the states like you were talking about.
So you and I we're gonna get hell because I'm full agreement. I mean, Ed, I was in 2016. I was in Youngstown, Ohio for Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
And the next day, the next day after the election, there were 2 events that I'll never forget. The first event was when I went to the nearby Starbucks, and I had my briefcase, and I was on my way to the airport, and I was driving to Pittsburgh, to fly out of Pittsburgh. Was you had about 8 or 9 so-called Democrats who voted for the other guy, right?
Jesus.
And they were all retired. They were all union guys, right? And I had basically become friends with them because they were there every single morning, right? And only one guy voted for Hillary, and they were like, hey, they were like, sorry, Sam, it's, but we think we just weren't in for Hillary. And I go, let me get this right. All you guys here have a full pension. You have Medicare, you have Social Security, okay, and you're telling me you voted for the other guy, right? And I basically said, you know something,
Wow.
I hope you keep it. I hope you keep it and live a good life, okay? But basically, you voted against yourself.
Yeah.
You voted against your own interests and the interests of the future of this country. You know,
Do you think, Sammy, there's a certain percentage of that will replicate? I mean, I'm going to say that everything that you need to know about Donald Trump is out there, right? You
correct.
can make your own professional evaluation of his moral character, of all those sorts of things. Do you think that people will turn away from Biden, or do you think that their Democrats are going to come home this fall?
No, we learned a valuable lesson after 2016,
Right.
right? We learned a valuable lesson in 2016, and then when 2020 came around, you know, the operation that Joe Biden put together, that we all worked in one way or another, right, was victorious, right? Victorious to us so much that we almost won Georgia, we almost won
Right.
North Carolina, right? So we've now figured it out. Sorry, we won Georgia. We now figured out how we can win this thing, right?
Right.
And so yes, we're going through this process, this window where people are fatigued, right? and people know where each candidate is, right? But we only have one president. We only elect one president at a time. So
Right.
yes, he does have the title former president, but to your knowledge, to my knowledge, to any historian's knowledge, to any objective observer, have we ever had a former president that's been convicted of a crime, right? And also legitimize the people that fought wars and died for this
Right.
country for
Right.
freedom and democracy. Let me be very exact. You cannot find any more patriotic people than Latinos, Mexican Americans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Central Americans that have served. They are proud to serve. They're proud to have the American flag, and whether they were Army, Air Force, National Guard, or Marines. It is part of the DNA. A little fact for a second. Puerto Ricans never asked to be citizens. It was given to them by the U.S. Congress. Now, in
Right.
part, it was a mutual benefit because they also wanted to recruit folks to fight in World War II, right?
Called cannon
So
fodder.
so some of them went to the Pacific, and some of them went to Europe, right?
Right.
Okay, but out of that came the GI Bill, and since then, more and more Latinos across the country, from California to New York, okay, have been serving the armed services, and they do it with pride, and they do it for a variety of reasons: pay for education, provide for their
Right.
families, get benefits, whatever it is. But my point is the following: is that there's a basic understanding about democracy and freedom. Of course, there's always, like for example, the most recent decision by the president by executive order to close down the border, right?
Right.
That's understood. There's an intellectual level of understanding. Why? Because at the end of the day, Latinos is like any others. We want to feel safe and secure, and we want to ensure that there's fairness. That if you play by the rules, there are going to be some benefits. And so,
Right.
one state we didn't talk about, and I went to University of Texas, right? Is Texas. All right, Tejanos are a different breed. Tejanos are a different breed. They become more conservative in South Texas. So
Right.
I don't see Texas moving in our direction probably for another 10 years. Now there's two Texas. There's
Right.
South Texas and North Texas. Okay? If they can get it together, there could be some changes. But right now it's not something we can count on. That said, right next door in New Mexico, where half the population is Latino and it's been around since 1512, right? Before
Right.
Jamestown. Okay?
Jeez.
They've now consistently have had Democratic governors, Democratic senators. They know what's at stake.
Yeah.
So
Let me
New
ask you,
Mexico, Arizona. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me follow on to something you were right there.
Yeah.
What is Trump's Achilles heel? Is there a thing that we're not saying or talking about right now in terms of defeating Donald Trump? It's the $1 million question, and we're going to make you the campaign manager here if you get it right, or if you have something that Biden's not doing. What are we not doing in terms of damaging Trump's reputation?
Well, I think this is in the modern era of presidential campaigns and elections. I think we're being very prudent. So, for example, when Trump says, apparently, and a bunch of Republicans in the room, and he says, Milwaukee's a horrible city.
Right.
Okay. Somehow or another it gets out. How interesting
Yeah.
that he's having a
True.
meeting with only Republican members of Congress, Republican
Hardcore.
staffers, and
Right.
somehow that gets out, right? And one of the things that I think we've done well over time, and we've now perfected it, right, is rapid response. Immediately,
Right
the
on.
governor of Wisconsin, the mayor of Milwaukee, okay, on a bipartisan basis, okay, said, I'm going to get this right. You're going to come here for your convention, and you're going to diss on us, on this beautiful city by the lake,
Right.
Milwaukee, in a critical state like Wisconsin, okay? He's lost Wisconsin.
Good.
There's no doubt in my mind that Trump now loses Wisconsin by 4 or 5 percentage points. Okay, and the idea that all these Midwestern states think separately, even though their makeup may be different, okay, is not true. Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, okay, to a certain extent Iowa, there's always been multi-generational folks that essentially have flowed through all those states to start families, go to work, go to factories, farming, technology, go to different universities, right? So there is a common thread among those Midwestern states that I think helps us and
Right.
helps and helps President Biden. It's kind of interesting, right? So for example, I think President Biden has visited Pennsylvania. I think it's over 100. There's been over 100 visits, right?
I think that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now it's logical, right? I mean, Delaware, Washington D.C. I mean, boom, you can be in Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
But the beauty of what he has been doing is that because he goes to different places in Pennsylvania, is that also gets picked up by the western part of the state, right? Which also goes into Illinois, which also goes into other Midwestern states. It goes into Virginia. It goes up the valley to Ohio, Wisconsin, right? And so we don't see it, okay? But it does get picked up by the Pittsburgh media, right? Because he's the
Right.
president of the United States, even though he's in Scranton,
Right.
right, or in the suburbs of Philadelphia. So we are laying out the groundwork, and Ed, you know this very well, okay? You don't ever want to peak early. You
Right.
want to peak at the right time. In less than 2 weeks, the president of the United States is going to be in the same room with no audience with the other guy, right?
Tough. I'm nervous about that. Are you nervous about that a little
I'm
bit?
not. I'm not at
You're
all.
not?
I'm
No
not at all.
way.
Not a
I
bit.
keep thinking, oh.
Not a bit. Not a bit. In the beginning of this year, I would always when I have conversations with my friends and they would be nervous about the president, and I would say, I am not nervous about our 90-year-old president, and it'll be like, no, he's not 90, he's 80, and I go, that's my point.
That's a great point. That's a great thing. All right, here we go. Last question. We're
Yeah.
gonna roll you. This has gone like 15 minutes. You realize you've been filling the air here, maybe with some beautiful stuff. If you were Biden's campaign manager, how would you allocate his time? That's the hard part, is putting this guy. I mean, for Bill Clinton, we did 6 days a week and 7 days we rested, right, on the seventh day. But we would do 3 markets, 4 markets a day. Do you think Joe Biden has got a strategy different than that? And how would you advise him going forward?
It's different. It's very different in terms of you can't compare this campaign apparatus to Obama Biden nor to Clinton Gore. In part because this is a Biden Kamala Harris, the first black female vice president. Okay, so that in and by itself is a central force of gravity, and so I appreciate the fact that they're going to be very diligent with his time, right? So in other words, I see Biden almost like the old Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay. Jab,
Right.
jab, 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 move, jab, 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 move, jab, 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 boom. In the 15th round, out. And I see basically Kamala Harris as the person that comes in hard and won't stop, and
Right.
crisscrosses all the various media markets with a special constituency, in particularly of reproductive freedom, okay,
Right.
that now
Right.
we know resonates. We now have the data and it resonates. Republican women, independent women are going to move in our column. And part of it is because we have double, triple down on protecting reproductive freedom and reproductive justice. That issue belongs to the Democratic Party and with our and our allies. Republican Party and their allies are defined by themselves. They're on the other side. They want to take away the rights of all women. And that's a significant democratic value that we honor, not only as Americans, but also as Latino Americans, regardless of what the country of origin you're from.
Right. That's beautiful. That is really nice stuff. I really enjoy it. We're going to do this again, all right? If you got time, we can do this again?
Absolutely, Mr. Ed Emerson, Dr. Ed Emerson.
Doctor of something, all right? Well, this is beautiful. This is a great day. Sam Rodriguez is a good man. Let me close out here by saying Tiger Eye Design, once again, has brought this broadcast to you today. The wonderful Sam Rodriguez. I like to say, Sam, people ask me where you're from, and I say, he's from America. You've lived just about everywhere. You've traveled just about everywhere else. But anyway, thank you again, my brother. Go Giants. And that's it today from Dem Talk America. Thank you, everybody.
Love you, Ed. Appreciate it.
Love you, Sam. Appreciate you.